34-yard line where Sanders picked it up. And a return at 12. Jim McMahon, his first start since October the 30th. His longest layoff between starts. He'll look at a front three for the 49ers of Roberts, Carter, and Fagan. To begin with, they change a lot. The linebackers, Haley, Fonhorst, Michael Walter, the two in the middle, and Keena Turner starting on the outside now. In the secondary, McKyer and Griffin in the corners, Lott and Fuller. Two dangerous, tough, excellent safety men. Those are the two they think they have to get blocked. Jim McMahon.
Mike Ditka said yesterday he's going to start off with a pass the first play of the game.
They put Neil Anderson out wide to the right, out of the backfield. They put McKinnon in motion. They run a reverse, or try to. The 49ers read it perfectly. Michael Walter on the stop. McKinnon, the Bear offense. McMahon starting at quarterback. Anderson and Suey, the setbacks. Gentry, McKinnon, and James Thornton will do most of the playing at tight end. Covert, Bortz, Hilgenberg, Thayer, and Van Horn up front. Second 14, Bears. It's hard to say who has the wind and who doesn't. Brad Muster brought into play. McMahon gets it up the middle of Thornton. Out to about the 37-yard line, stopped by Walter. Gain of 10.
You know, that's the kind of passing I think we're going to see all day, Pat, is that inside passing, the passing between the numbers, and the quick drop back, the quick release, the quick throw. And both of these quarterbacks, both Jim McMahon and Joe Montana, are excellent at that type of football.
And under these weather conditions, that's about all they're going to be able to do, don't you think?
It's darn near impossible to throw an out, a comeback, a corner, or a fly or deep pattern.
Bears with 4 wide receivers. And McMahon puts Gentry in motion. Now he comes back the other way. Fake to Gentry. Incomplete. Stopped by McKyer. And the Bears will have to punt it.
That was an interesting play. You don't see that much. It was a bootleg out of the shotgun formation. So you can see that one of the things the Bears want to do is move their quarterback around, not let McMahon be a sitting target.
Brian Wagner will punt for the Bears. That's John Taylor, number 82. Back to return it, if he can handle it, for the 49ers. Wagner's kick, good one. Excellent. Taylor out of bounds. 14-yard line. Good kick. 47-yarder. Joe Montana. And he'll be looking at a Chicago Bear defense that finished second in the NFL. Harris, McMichael, and Hampton, and Sean Smith in place of Richard Dent. Rivera, Singletary in the middle, of course. Jim Morrissey. And in the secondary, Richardson, Jackson on the corners, Douglas and Dewerson deep. And the crowd is already into this game. Dewerson on a blitz. This is Roger Craig. Right side out of bounds, and believe me, outside those sideline markers, it's like being on cement. Montana, Craig, and Rathman, the runners. Taylor, Rice, John Frank, the tight end. He was unavailable the first time these two teams played. Wallace, Zapolu, Randy Cross the center, Guy McIntyre and Harris Martin up front, second and 6. Craig got 4. Split backs this time. Montana, quick drop to Craig, complete. Morrissey. Dewerson on a blitz 2 times in a row now.
Yeah, we were talking to Bill Walsh. We see him there in the sideline, Steve Young giving the signals. Last night he said because of this noise of playing on the road, they've really eliminated their audible system. They're going to play this game with just leaving the plays on. Have very few, if any, audibles.
3rd down. And you can see why they wouldn't have any audibles. Montana flushed out of the pocket, gets it to Rathman. No first down. He got 5, just about a yard short of what they needed first down.
That'll give them just enough to have to punt the ball. This is the way the last time they played, Pat. 10-9, a great defensive game. A great defensive game by both sides.
Barry Helton will do the punting. Dennis McKinnon will do the returning. Again, it's hard to say what the direction of the wind is, because down on that field it is swirling and very uncomfortable. Not much of a kick. 49ers down it at the Bear 49. 28-yard kick and a flag on the play. A late penalty marker comes flying out. The referee again is Bob McElwee.
Both of these teams are fired up. I don't think I've ever seen the 49ers as emotionally ready for a game as I have the last 2 weeks.
After the play, dead ball foul, personal foul, 37 receiving team, 15-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
It had to be. Mike Ditka was out there going crazy at Maurice Douglas. Boy, was he upset with him. He knew he had the ball at the 50, and now he's all the way back to the 35.
Very costly. Ditka's not supposed to get excited, but he is. John Madden, the NFC Championship game, the winner to face Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. In 2 weeks, it is cold, windy. The wind chill factor 33 degrees below zero. 1st to 10 Bears at their own 34. Morris is the man in motion. That's Neil Anderson. Stopped by Larry Roberts, but he got 4 yards.
Well, they're running right in there at that 49er triangle we talked about. I'll tell you, Jay Hilgenberg does a nice job. Watch the center fire out on Michael Carter. The way he figures is that he's quicker. See, he can get to Carter before Carter can get to him. Then just keep him and take him the way he wants to go.
2nd and 6. Buster now is in the backfield with Anderson for the Bears. That's Anderson in motion. And McMahon back to throw it out to 1st down Chicago. Ball came loose. The 49ers say they have it. Another fracas going on down the other end of the field. Tina Turner might have come up with the ball.
I have no idea how McMahon got rid of that ball. He got pressure right up the middle and threw it out here sidearm.
49ers with the ball.
Jim McMahon told us yesterday the only way he thinks that they could lose to the 49ers is with turnovers. Here, that ball is caught and fumbled and recovered inbound
By Tina Turner. McKyer made the hit.
McKyer makes a good tackle, hits him. Now, he didn't knock the ball out. The ball fell out when Anderson went down.
They're going to have another look.
Well, they could rule that the penalty, that the fumble was because of the ground, not because of the hit. But it was because of the hit.
Yeah,
you can see it there. No, that's a 49ers ball. I know a guy can't go out of bounds and come back in and catch a pass, but he can go out of bounds, come back in and catch a tick pass.
We had that happen last week here, except for a penalty in the backfield, not that violation.
I think that was a big break for the Bears either way.
3rd and 2, Bears at their own 42.
Tough guy, Neil Anderson. He's had a bad leg. He's had a pulled hamstring. It's been a pulled groin. He has a tough time practicing, but as Mike Ditka said, I'll guarantee you when Sunday comes, he's going to gut it up and play. He not only has the speed, the quickness, the moves, but he has good power, too.
5'11", 210. Neil Anderson, big shoes to fill. Here's McMahon. Almost picked off and almost caught at the same time by Wendell Davis. Ronnie Lott was the defender.
Hey, if you're going to throw in the middle, you better find number 42, Ronnie Lott. This guy is the best free safety in football. And he always knows. He's very smart. He's a bright football player. In fact, he's a football player. That's what the guy is. Watch him here, 42. He reads McMahon. McMahon steps that way and throws the other way, and watch Lott reaction to it. He just dropped the ball. But he's equally good there. And then when you run, he plays like a linebacker.
He's one of those guys that sort of just hides in the secondary. Here's Anderson again. Tripped up behind the line of scrimmage by Jeff Fuller. No gain.
You see Tom Thayer come out there and take on Fuller. Mike Ditka was saying last night that to run, we have to block number 49 and number 42. Of course, that's the two safeties of the 49ers. They sent their guard, Tom Thayer, out on Fuller, and Fuller just jammed him right there. There's a guy who's a half a linebacker, half nose tackle, and half safety.
Both those safety men are, Fuller and Lott.
Look at the size of him. He brings a big load when he comes up there.
He
does bring one of those little defensive back loads.
4 wide receivers for the Bears on 3rd and 9. McMahon. McKinnon. At midfield. Gain of 4, no first down, stopped by Fuller.
I can see, I think it was interesting that, you know, when you play against the 49ers, that's the only time that a coach will mention the safeties. You know, they usually mention the front four, the linebackers, but anytime you play the 49ers, they're always going to talk about Ronnie Lott and Fuller.
You better.
Yeah, because they probably make 75% of the plays.
Wagner, the punter for the Bears. John Taylor, deep for the 49ers. Off the side of his foot. You would expect a shank weather like this, and you got one. 12-yard punt. That's all. 0-0 the score at Soldier Field, frigid Soldier Field, Chicago. The NFC Championship at stake.
Well, I knew a guy could go out of bounds and come back in and recover the fumble. So what the rule was, they said he didn't reestablish it, but he looked like he had both feet into me there, too.
Montana to Rathman, 49ers in Bear territory. Maurice Douglas knocked him out of bounds, but Rathman got a first down for San Francisco and more.
Last night, Joe Montana was saying, you know what, Roger Craig is a great back, and Jerry Rice and all that. He said, but the guy that I would like to get more involved in the offense is Tom Rathman. He says, I can throw him a short pass like this, and so when he gets out in the open field and runs with his shoulder square, he's really tough to bring down.
Montana to his right. Pass intended for John Frank. Incomplete. Singletary on the coverage.
You know, there's two tough guys. Mike Singletary going against John Frank. You notice one thing? Neither one of them have any of that long underwear stuff on. Yeah, those guys that go out there, tough guys don't wear long underwear. How about that? Watch it. Watch 86 come in there. He's in his shirt sleeves. So is the guy who's tackling.
2nd and 10, and again the crowd becomes a factor. Blitz coming after Montana. And down he goes in the hands of Al Harris.
That's Al Harris's job, Pat. They know that any time that Montana's going to run, it's going to be out here to the right. So they're going to bring him right here to get in Montana's face. If he's going to move, it's always going to be to the right. And Al Harris's job is to take care of him. He has Montana. Don't let him get outside. That time he did it perfectly.
3rd and 22, and Montana throws a screen pass to Craig. Roger Craig hit by Singletary, and the 49ers again will have to punt. He got 10 yards, but they needed more than that. Barry Helton to punt for the 49ers, and Dennis McKinnon is number 85 for the Bears.
And these Bear fans appreciate that defense, don't they?
They always have.
I think they lead the league in standing ovations for their defensive team.
High kick. McKinnon is going to stay away from it. Takes a Bear bounce. 49ers will down it at about the Bear 14. Ron Heller was the first one down, and so it's still 0-0. 7:15 left in the first quarter. Oh, John Madden, 0-0 first quarter. 7:15, 1st and 10 Bears. Sanders, Muster. Are now the Bear runner. Sanders. Stopped by Fuller at the 30 after a gain of 14.
Hey, that's one thing that the Bears do is they're handling that triangle up there. They're going to run straight at it. Watch Hilgenberg in there, Port's in there, Thayer in there, getting movement and giving Thomas Sanders a hole to run through.
And a good block by Suey in front of him.
Thomas Sanders plays every third series for Neil Anderson.
Muster. Bears' number 1 choice stopped after a gain of perhaps 2.
Yeah, this is the way the Bears substitute their people. It's kind of interesting. With the fullbacks, Matt Suey and Brad Muster, they bring them in with the plays, every play, so those two switch. Now with the wide receivers, they do it by series. McKinnon and Gentry get a series, and then Davis and Ron Morris get a series, so every other series. Then the halfbacks, Neil Anderson plays 2 series, then Thomas Sanders plays the 3rd series.
Right now it's Sanders and Suey. That's Suey. By Haley. A gain of 3. It looks so innocent from up here as far as weather is concerned, but looks like it's about, what, 16 degrees? And with the wind blowing like it is, it's, they say, with the wind chill factor down about 33 below.
And, you know, and that's the good news, Pat. With the game starting at 3 o'clock local time, I'll guarantee it's going to get worse. I mean, it's going to get colder when the sun goes down, and it's going to get windier.
A lot of friends here that you won't recognize. Just trying to stay warm. McMahon. No flag. Intended for Gentry. Tom Holmo, the defender, along with Fuller.
Look at McMahon. He ran 40 yards downfield to argue with that official.
Or to stay warm.
No, I think he saw it. Usually the 2 guys that see it is one, the guy who threw it, and the guy who's going to catch it. And they both jump up complaining.
Wagner again to punt in the direction of John Taylor. Pro Bowl bound is Taylor as a return specialist. So you know he's dangerous. Line drive punt. Takes a 49er hop this time. And San Francisco will take over at their own 38, a 27-yard punt this time. 4:46 now left to play in the first quarter. 0-0 in the NFC Championship. 2:46 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall, John Madden. That's the play selection so far. 49er ball, and the handoff is to Roger Craig. He is wrapped up at the 40 by Al Harris.
You know, Al Harris is a guy, Pat, that is having a great year at the end of the year and going unnoticed. Last week against the Eagles, he had to take Cunningham when he would come out to that side. He batted Cunningham's passes down 3 times. This time, in this game, he has Joe Montana on the rollout and Roger Craig on the cutback. And the last 2 series, we've seen him handle both of them.
They're showing blitz. Here comes Durison. There goes Craig, and he slips, trying to get out of the middle of the field, stopped by Richardson. That part of the field, John, is nothing but sand. There is no grass there. And as the day goes on, it's going to get harder and harder.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a battle. I mean, this isn't going to be a pretty thing. This is going to be 4 quarters of ugly, with the winning team really deserving to get to the warmth of Miami.
Taylor is split wide to the left and Rice to the right. Montana back to throw it to Rice. Pass caught by Jerry Rice, and look out for this one. '49er touchdown from 61 yards away. Richardson and Crum were close, but Rice came down with it.
And that was a heck of a throw by Joe Montana. If you told me today that Joe Montana could throw it out that far to Jerry Rice on the sideline, I would say there's no way. There's no way. And watch Rice. He's running it up. Then he runs back. He turns Richardson around, makes a great catch, and just flips the 2 of them.
Todd Crum is number 44, and once Jerry Rice gets that step, it's good night, sweetheart.
Yeah, well, Crum had good position. He just made a poor tackle, or Rice made him make that poor tackle.
Over for the extra point. And that shot is good, and so with 3:18 left to play first quarter, San Francisco leads 7-0.
That's the 49ers. They have to get the ball to Jerry Rice. And when they do, they win games because Jerry Rice scores touchdowns.
And the first time, the other time they played this year on a Monday night, Rice was not healthy.
Now, he had a bad ankle, and he was unhealthy for about 5 or 6 weeks. And he says when he was unhealthy, they were able to jam him because he couldn't move. Let's watch that move on the clicker. Here's Jerry Rice coming off the line. Now watch what he does to Rice. He's selling him right there. He's going deep. You see, and now Richardson starts to go deep. Now he makes the move back. Now watch him move right here. He makes on Crum. Here, boom. That's a heck of a move right there. Look at that. That looks like Gale Sayers or someone. And then the rest is academic. Those were 2 pretty good moves, getting open and then avoiding that tackle.
And Montana getting the ball to him. You know, Bill Walsh, to his credit, said that when they played in that Monday night game and the Bears won 10-9, he said most of it was my fault because I didn't have a very good game plan. I am to blame for that ball.
You know, he was so concerned about pass protection, he kept 9 guys in the block and only sent 2 out. Or 8 guys in the block because 1's the quarterback.
Sanders fields the short kick from Cover. The 49ers covered well. And the Bear offensive unit comes on. They trail 7-0. If you call 3 plays a drive, that's what they did, and that's how quickly they did it.
I'll tell you, if you have a guy like Jerry Rice in your team, you could do a lot of damage in a short amount of time.
It'll be first down, Bears at their own 37. With 3:07 left to play first quarter. San Francisco 7, Chicago nothing. Anderson and Suey are the runners this time. Thornton is on the move. Anderson outside the 40.
I'll tell you one thing, Mike Ditka has to be very upset because he said one of his goals, one of the things he thought was the most important thing to win this game was to score early. You know, he wanted to get ahead, play downhill, and let the defense take over the game.
Bears score first. They never lost in a playoff game.
The other thing, if they hold the team to under 17 points, they're 64-0.
Buster is the fullback this time behind McMahon. That's Norton move. Hand off. Anderson. 2 yards.
I think Anderson's one of those guys that just keep running and running and running, and somewhere he's going to break one. Like Ditka said, somewhere in this game, they're going to be looking at the back of Neil Anderson's jersey.
3rd and 5.
Look at those people up there, man. There's a lot of people with no faces.
They're intelligent, though.
They've got no faces on that group.
McMahon out of the shotgun this time. That's Gentry on the move. Hand off Anderson. First down Bear. Stopped by Fuller after a gain of 8.
This is one of the things they had in their plan. They wanted to make their corners tackle. They wanted to block the safeties and get out here with a guard. You see Thayer coming out here, Ford's coming out. Get them on the corners. You see Thayer take McKyer, just turn him around and upside down. That's the plan. They don't want to let the safeties make all the tackles. They want Griffin, who's coming off a dislocated shoulder, and the other corner, McKyer, to make tackles, to have to tackle.
McMahon to Anderson. Just couldn't quite keep his footing. Something the Bears, we've seen them do before, is split Anderson out of the backfield and make the other team's strong safety, in this case Fuller, cover him.
That's what they hope to do. They either want to get a linebacker out on him or a strong safety, hope they can get a mismatch. That's one thing. The other thing it does, it takes a guy like Fuller out of there so that you do have some running inside and he's not part of it.
49ers 7 and the Bears nothing. McMahon takes a stroll to the sideline as you see the closing seconds of quarter number 1 run out. That's the end of quarter number 1 with the score. San Francisco 7, Chicago nothing. McMahon fakes to Anderson. Complete for Ron Morris. William Perry.
There's a guy who hasn't played for a while, broke his arm, and remember the last time in '85 when the Bears went to the Super Bowl, he was such a big part of it. Tell you, I don't know what kind of coat that is or what animal, but it sure took a lot of them to make that thing. Whatever it is, I mean, usually the animals that make those big coats are little old animals.
So you're right, it did take a lot of them.
I think it's a world record.
The heaviest man ever to wear a Chicago Bear uniform. Here's McMahon. Hustles out of the pocket, incomplete. Intended for Dennis McKinnon over his head. Richard Dent. And there's the guy they really miss.
I think so. I think of all the guys they've missed, of all the injuries they've had, this one was the biggest. I think that as a pass rusher, as a defensive end, Richard Dent is the best in the league. You can see who he was talking to there, number 97. That's Sean Smith, the guy who has taken his place.
It took a lot of animals to make that coat too, John.
Yeah. Between the two, that's a world record.
Taylor gets it on the hop. Is out of bounds at about the 22. Stopped by Shannon. 14 and a half minutes left to play in the first half. 14:36 to be exact. 49ers up by a touchdown.
That ball out there, I thought was amazing, Pat.
Remarkable. Montana again to throw it. Or come out of the pocket. He gets it upfield to John Frank. First down, 49ers stopped by Harris, who dropped off the defensive scheme that time.
But you remember Harris was at one time a linebacker, and then he was one of those guys who sat out the year that the Bears went to the Super Bowl. So he's back here playing now, and I think as much as anyone on this Bear team, Al Harris would love to get back to that thing.
First down, San Francisco at their own 38. Taylor, wide right. Montana back to Craig. Roger Craig out of bounds in front of the 49er bench. Knocked out by Ron Rivera. A gain of 5.
Hey, this is a great matchup. Not this guy here, but Roger Craig running the ball on one side. He's the offensive MVP in the NFC. And then this guy, Mike Singletary, the defensive MVP on the other side. You talked about a matchup. I mean, that's like Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier. Yeah, we got a fight going here or something.
2nd and 5. Montana back to Craig again. With some room. Craig knocked out of bounds by Singletary. First down, 49ers.
It's amazing. Well, that's one thing when Roger Craig comes in to know, he knows that he's going to have this guy looking at him all day. He's going to look off to the right, he's going to look up, but he's always going to come back to number 33. Now watch him just go right down the line of scrimmage with him. Craig goes left, boom, right down the line of scrimmage. He turns up, what? Singletary turns up.
San Francisco from their own 48-yard line. Rice had been split wide left and moves back inside now. Montana gets it outside to Taylor. As they move into Bear territory to about the 45, stopped by Mike Richardson after a gain of 8.
Now, if you wanted a clinic on a quarterback getting back and getting rid of the ball quickly, I think you're getting it right here in this first half from Joe Montana. I mean, the way he got back there and just got that ball out there to Taylor, it didn't make any difference what the pass rush was doing.
Montana 6 out of 8. 2nd and 3. Frank in motion. And Roger Craig hammers straight ahead enough for a first down. 49ers again, a gain of 4. Dan Hampton in the middle was the first man to hit him.
Well, they got a little push in there, that 49er offense. Randy Cross, Jesse Sapullo, Guy McIntyre. Watch the inside there. See, they get some movement. They get on those guys. They get them going backwards. Cross just keeps going. Boom, boom, boom. He keeps it blocking. And then Craig gets in there, and he just keeps his legs moving. There's a bunch of old Pistons going boom, 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 boom.
Craig, who was neutralized by the Bears in their regular season meeting, he only gained 31 yards. He's a remarkable athlete. Montana outside, Craig incomplete.
They wanted to hit that. That was one of those timing things that the timing never worked. Bill Walsh still working off his first 25 plays. He has that list of his first 25 plays. Then he will make adjustments after he runs that. You can see he's looking at that chart and still working off that first group of plays.
16 plays the 49ers have run. That was Steve Young, who's signaling into Montana. Second down. A lot of time. Craig. Incomplete. But it really didn't matter.
Well, Al Harris dropped off that time. That's why he wasn't there. His responsibility is going to be Joe Montana when he rolls. But he's usually going to rush. This time you see Al Harris, he's working out there on John Frank. He's dropping off, kind of covering Frank and Roger Craig. So when Montana rolled out to the right, there was no one there to contain him.
3rd right. Montana slipped down. Again, that part of the field is nothing but sand, and now it's starting to be frozen sand.
Montana never did get his footing. Watch as he stops back. He's going to go to he trips over one foot, and then he can't plant with his left one. He slides. That was a double dipper. The trip got him at first, and then he couldn't plant.
Barry Helton back to punt it. McKinnon deep to the bear. It's a pretty good kick. One into the end zone before they got to it. They'll bring it back to the 20. Almost for the 49ers. They almost downed it. The Bears will take over at the 20, trailing 7-0. They go first and 10. Ball at the Bears 20. McMahon. Hit just as he got rid of it. Now, if Earth Cross is ready, let's go there.
Pat, standing outside the Bear locker room, some of the defensive linemen for the Bears have changed their shoes. Sean Smith and Dan Hampton started the game wearing his cleated shoe, but because the field is freezing and it's getting harder, they went to this shark molded cleat to help their footing out there. You saw Montana slip down in that bad spot on the 50-yard line. So more and more Bears are expected to change their shoes as the game progresses. Pat?
Well, of course, down through history in the NFL, there have been a lot. There was a famous sneaker game between the Giants and the Bears back in the 30s. So before this was over, that footwear could be a problem as well. Pass batted away as McMahon tried to throw. It was hit by Larry Roberts.
You know, there's the guy who's really coming along for that 49er team is Larry Roberts. You know, if you just watch him, he's the second guy in here. Here's Charles Haley, their big rusher. Roberts right here is the guy who gets that knockdown. You see, he starts up there, Haley coming from the outside, just on a bull rush over the guard. Now you want to rush the quarterback as far as you can, then when he goes to throw, you jump up.
McMahon 4 out of 11 for only 21 yards. And believe me, it's tough throwing, more kicking, more catching at Soldier Field today. McMahon. Morris. Covered by McKyer, but an 18-yard gain and a first down Bear.
Well, that's the third time that they threw that deep end out there. The first two times was incomplete. Here it is, Morris, the outside guy, just running up and a little in on McKyer. Really wasn't that good a pattern. But you can see what McMahon has done. He's thrown 8 to his outside receivers, only completing 2. 3 to his running backs, completing 2, and 1 for 1 for the tight end. So usually when those outside guys, they're out coming in, and they're a little tougher to throw to.
And it's going to get tougher and tougher to play defense on this field as it gets harder. This is Anderson. Knocked out of bounds finally by Griffin, and again, as John Madden said earlier, we want to make their cornerbacks make some tackles.
Now, Mark Bortz, they got Mark Bortz, the left guard, leading out there. They're trying to get out there, and as you said, make Don Griffin tackle. He's coming off an injury. He had a dislocated shoulder. Bortz here really made a nice block, and he was the guy that sprung in the back to get a few more yards.
2nd and 3. Bears at their own 45. Out of the pocket and chased. Finally gets rid of it. It's picked off by Fuller. Intended for Gentry, but Fuller came up with it.
Hey, there is the guy who's having a heck of a first half in this game is Jeff Fuller. First of all, I think you have to give it to the 49er defense and the pressure. They're going to come up. They're going to get pressure up the middle. Then they're going to flush McMahon out to the right. Now he has to come out here and throw on the run, and then Fuller for the coverage, being his guy, jumping up, making a catch. But the first part of that was a rush to pressure up the middle.
And that was Pierce Holt, who's really come on, too, for the 49ers, who put the heat on McMahon. Montana back to Craig. He gets to the 40. Up by Duerson.
I tell you, watch the ball. You can see it right up in the upper left-hand corner. Watch what the wind is doing to it. Part of that could be McMahon, who's never been known to throw great spirals, anything. Anyway, but that thing was fluttering.
And you can see, that's a pretty good indication. The flags atop the stadium are really ripping. Montana. And that's Rice. To the Bear 37, stopped by Vesti Jackson.
I don't know where Montana's gotten this arm strength. I mean, watch this one. You know, the first one, he threw the out, but here he's going to throw a slant. Not a good bump by Jackson, but I'll tell you, Joe Montana threw that thing into Rice there like it was shot out of a gun.
Inside the Bear 40, the 49ers. With a 1st and 10. Craig. Nothing. By McMichael.
You know, the Bears came in here with stopping this guy, Roger Craig. That was their number one thing. They had to stop Roger Craig. But I think it's a little more than that. You know, that when you do that, you can stop Roger Craig, but you better pay a little attention to Jerry Rice. I mean, he's the guy that put that big 6 up on the board. He's the guy that last week put 3 of them up against the Vikings.
Rice is wide left this time. Taylor is to the right. Montana. Outside Craig. Nope. We're at Soldier Field in Chicago for the NFC Championship game between the 49ers and the Bears. Pat Summerall, John Madden. And the winner of this one will go to Miami in 2 weeks, or go earlier than that, and play in 2 weeks against the Cincinnati Bengals. The wind gusting up to 25 miles an hour, and a wind chill factor between -24 and -33 degrees. Rathman. He can hurt some people. First down, San Francisco.
Now there's an old-fashioned fullback. I mean, he's the guy who looked like he would have played for the Green Bay Packers under Vince Lombardi. He runs like a fullback. You know, they talk about the 49er team being a finesse team. Baloney. Watch this trap, and then watch Rathman. I'll guarantee you, this is not finesse running. This is old Nebraska football running. Old Green Bay Packer running.
McIntyre.
Jimmy Taylor.
McIntyre with a good block on Sean Smith. That's from Rathman. Here's Montana. Slipped momentarily, gets it out to Rathman. Incomplete. Just over his head. Rathman could have played for you, too, I think.
I would have loved to have had Tom Rathman. I had guys like that. You know, Pete Vanizak was like Tom Rathman. One of those guys, tough guys was there. Marv Hubbard was like that. I mean, he reminds me a lot of that type of guy. You know,
Van Egan, maybe?
Van Egan, yeah. I mean, those are tough guys that, you know, come give everything they have and always looking for something or someone to hit.
Second down and 10. Rice is the motion man. To Rice, touchdown.
Jerry Rice has become Superman these last 2 weeks. That's his 5th touchdown in 2 games. I tell you, that's the 5th touchdown Joe Montana's thrown in 2 games. You talk about championship football players, you're looking at 2 of them on that play. He got inside of Vesti Jackson again And boom, Montana gave it to him right there. The next thing was the end zone.
Well, it's like you were saying last week before the Viking game at Candlestick Park. There were three guys who had to produce, who hadn't produced, and now they've certainly done it. Rice, Montana, and Craig.
Watch Montana here again. It's going to be a slant. He's looking all the way at Jerry Rice. And the minute he sees him get by Vesti Jackson, he gives him the ball.
And they're not going to catch that guy. 14-0 with 7:25 left in the first half. 9 seconds. Short kickoff. Goes to Muster. And Muster gets the Bears in pretty good shape outside of their own 45. A return of 21. Stopped by Sam Kennedy.
Let's watch the touchdown again. Here's Jerry Rice. Here's Vesti Jackson. Motion, motion, and watch the move here. Well, let it go. See as Rice comes around. Here comes Vesti Jackson. Now right there, he has a beat. Watch him right there. Jackson keeps going out. Rice cuts up. Rice knows he has it. Puts his hand up. Montana gives it to him.
14-0 San Francisco. Bears have, as far as we can tell, the wind at their back right now, and they need it. Sanders to the 49er 46. Stopped by Haley, a gain of 8.
They can talk about bear weather and all that, but those Bears get around that heater too. But they know how to do it. They know how to get around the heater, and they stick their gloves in there, keep their gloves warm, and stick their hands in the gloves. They got all the tricks.
And Richard Dent knows where to sit, close to the heater.
Steve McMichael was sitting there. He didn't have any underwear on.
And Sanders again, and he gets inside the 49er 45-yard line, stopped by Michael Walter. Picked up 2. Chicago's first 5 possessions, a punt, a punt, a punt, a punt, and an interception. That's why there's nothing on the board.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, and you look at the total offense, 184 for the 49ers, 95 for the Bears. I think a lot of that credit has to go to the 49er defense. And, you know, the 49er team, you think of Montana, you think of Rice, you think of Craig, and usually if the 49ers are going to go anywhere, they go a long way when their defense plays well.
And that defense has been playing well, that 49er defense, the last month of the season, with the exception of the game against the Rams, the last one.
They're a good defense. They have a defense coordinator, George Seifert, who is an excellent coach. There's Greg Landry. He was a guy talking to Montana. He's the one who calls the plays for the Bears now. Mike Ditka used to send in the plays, and this year he gave it to Greg Landry. Remember Greg Landry, the old quarterback?
Sure, for the Lions.
For years.
Bear first down. Thornton with the man on the move. This is Sanders. Hit at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he got a half yard. Maybe nothing. Charles Haley made the stop. He's become quite a player as well. Sanders limping just a bit.
I remember last time they played the 10-9 game, they really couldn't get Haley blocked. And then last week against the Vikings, he was a big pass rusher. He's kind of half linebacker, half defensive lineman. Watch him, how he plays it back. Matt Suey went to block him. That wasn't a very good block or a very good effort by Suey.
Haley is very, very quick.
He's not a big guy as far as defensive linemen go. Very quick and fast.
McMahon gets it outside to Sanders, who was limping after the last play, but that limp got well in a hurry, and he gets another Bear first down.
And he made a move on a guy that you don't see get a move made on very often. He made Ronnie Lott miss in the open field. And after Lott missed him, Thomas Sanders picked up another 10 yards. Usually when you get Lott out in the open field out here, watch 42 come out. 42 usually wins this battle. That one there, Thomas Sanders won the battle. And then as a result of it, gets 10 more yards and a first down.
14-0 San Francisco, but a first and 10 Bears at the 49er 32.
Bears were pointing at the clock, saying that the 30-second clock wasn't running or running properly. Now they just changed it. They were right. That was Keith Van Horn, the old tackle, picked that one out. Old number 78 saw that. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought he knew where the 30-second clock even was?
Oh.
Here's McMahon. Upfield at Thornton. And he's out of bounds at the 49er 13-yard line. Knocked out by Ronnie Lott.
James Thornton is a rookie tight end who Mike Ditka says has to come through for us. He has to forget he's a rookie. He has to become a man today. I look at that body and those arms. He looks like a man to me. But he says, we need him now. I mean, they've lost Cap Bozo. The other tight end is out. Henry Moorhead is out. He said he's been here long enough. He shouldn't be a rookie anymore.
Not at this stage of this season. At the 14, Wendell Davis is split wide to the left. McMahon to Sanders. Romanowski made the stop after Sanders got 2 yards.
Well, their fullbacks aren't getting the blocks. We saw Suey not block Haley. That time was Brad Muster didn't get a block. And if you're going to be a running team and you're going to run to your tailback and your fullback's going to be the lead, fullback has to get a block. And this series, their fullbacks have missed 2 lead blocks, 2 different fullbacks.
You know, John Robinson, the Bears take a timeout with 3:52 remaining. John Robinson said the toughest thing for a fullback is to find out who to block. He's a master at teaching that. 2nd and 9. Bears trailing by 2 touchdowns, but in range now. McMahon chased out of the pocket. Incomplete. He just had to get rid of it. Intended for Wendell Davis. McKyer was the cover man. Kevin Fagan was the man in pursuit.
Did you see Kevin Fagan burst on him? You know, years before, I mean, defensive linemen just kind of waddle. But I think Fagan, when he hit McMahon from behind, I think he hurt him. And you're going to see Fagan come from behind, 75. Now, once you put on the burst and hit McMahon there, I don't know if it's the knee or what. We can see if the knee collapsed. He's wearing 2 knee braces. I don't know what he grabs there. But it looked like a delay type of thing. He's still bent over. Mike Tomczak has gone in.
Tomczak has come back. He went in the game, came back over to the sideline, and now he's loosening up over in front of the Bear bench.
He came back on the sideline to warm up,
right,
to take some snaps and get someone to throw to, because McMahon is leaving the game, and Tomczak will be going in.
The book on McMahon, 7 out of 16, 69 yards, the 1 interception by Fuller. And here comes Tomczak.
Tomczak has become a crowd favorite here. When Jim McMahon went down, he did an excellent job. And against the Green Bay Packers, he injured his left shoulder. Then he came back, started last week against the Eagles, and re-injured it.
3rd and 9. Tomczak will operate from the spread formation. Gives it to Anderson. To about the 7. A gain of 7. Stopped by Ronnie Lott.
And the Bears are going to have to kick the field goal here. There's no decision. I know being down 14-0, but it's still the first half. You got to go. You got to get points on the board.
Kevin Butler with Tomczak holding from 25 yards out. It is good, and it's with 3:06 left to play in the first half.
Those are always the toughest points in any football game of your first one. I think when you get the opportunity, you got to take whatever it is.
14-3, 3:06 left. Next Saturday, CBS Sports presents. You say he gets the ball deeper. He didn't get that one deeper. Harry Sidney was the return man for the 49ers, and Lynch brought him down.
You know, Pat, we did the 49er Viking game last week, and 4 quarters in that game, and the first half of this game. I don't know that I've seen the 49ers as sharp as they've been in these 6 quarters. I mean, they got everything going. I mean, they got the defense flying around, making plays. The offense, Montana is very effective. Rice making big plays. The offensive line is doing an outstanding job.
Here's Montana. Out of the pocket. Gets it upfield to John Taylor. Taylor still at his feet. Fumble. And the Bears have it. Picked up by Bestie Jackson. Gentry comes left. McKinnon is to the right. The tight end.
Sack of Montana. If you ask Montana to autograph him. But he's from the Bay Area, Sebastopol.
The handoff is to Anderson, and he has the Bear first down. Buffalo, they'll be in the Super Bowl, and the winner of this one will play the Bengals.
Hey, the officials are getting smarter. You see that? That's Leo Miles over there, the official. Between plays, he runs over to the Bear bench and sticks his hands and gloves in that heater down there.
He came dressed as the Phantom of the Opera.
Well, you know, those guys, I don't think they get a little movement, but they have no adrenaline. They're not hitting anything.
First down, Bears. They have 2 timeouts left. Anderson in the backfield with McMahon. Screen pass, Anderson. Out of bounds at the 40 by Ronnie Lott.
You know, starting boxes up there and dome stadiums and stuff. We don't need that, right?
Well, I was out in the elements before the game. And I'm glad to have a heater close by.
Don't admit that.
Here's Hope. Stop Neil Anderson.
But I tell you, these guys don't feel it. These guys are just down there in the pits. They're going after it. And I think both lines are doing an outstanding job.
Here's Hope. He is the guy, without question, you'd like on your side in any game. McMahon. Pass is caught by McKinnon.
Momentum, that goes into the locker room with the 2, I'll guarantee that.
2nd and 1. McMahon. Fuller had a shot at it. Dennis.
Now he got the black shoes back in. The guy has a shot. We're still looking at him.
The handoff is to Anderson. Nudged by Lott. And out of bounds.
They lost 6 or 7 yards on that play. You'd think they'd have enough confidence just to bang something up inside.
Good kick this time. Fielded by Taylor. Who gets it out of bounds at about the 27.
The 49ers.
And Todd Crum holding the ball for Kevin Butler without the tee. And the kickoff goes deep to John Taylor, who brings it out at the goal line. And Taylor slips down at about the 20. Footing is going to be treacherous.
Hey,
for the rest of this game. 2 touchdowns, both to Rice. To Roger Craig. There is nothing there. Rivera and Singletary stop Roger Craig.
As I was saying, I bet you that Mike Ditka really fired up this team, and some of the other players too, because the finality of it. I mean, your season boils down to 1 half. The losing team will be forgotten. The winning team gets to play in the biggest game that we have in this game every year.
It's almost like last year you forgot who lost in the Nfc Championship Game. You know who won the Super Bowl, but you forgot about this game. Montana gets it outside to Rathman. He is cut down by Nfc Jackson.
I'll tell you one thing, on this first drive here, this Bear defense has come up and they're playing at another notch than they did at the end of that half.
I like the forecast we had. Cold and dark, I knew that.
It's been one all day and it's just getting to be the other.
That's right. On third down, Montana puts Rice in motion and he goes back to throw it and he gets it up the middle to Rice. That's going to be close to a first down. Maurice Douglas and Dave Durison stopped it.
Good pass protection. They just turned the tackles out. If you're going to rush Montana, you have to get boom right up in his face. You have to hit that gap between the center and the guard. The 49ers, you can see Randy Cross there is talking to Guy McIntyre. They were able to roll the middle out so that Montana could step straight up.
We talk about the 49ers. They've done an amazing job rebuilding that offensive line as well. First down, San Francisco, Montana gets it upfield to Taylor. That should be enough for another first down. 45, 11 yards.
You know, Joe Montana's had a bad elbow and bad ribs and a bad side. We know about the bad back. And I thought he had lost some arm strength, but in the last 2 weeks, he has really gotten some zip back in that arm. I don't know exactly what it is. No, one time he lost some weight. He's gained the weight back. But today, he is zipping that ball.
And, well, he has to in weather like this, wind like this. That's Rathman straight ahead. Outside the 45, a pickup of 2, stopped by Dan Hampton.
You see that fake play, Pat? That's the old sucker play. Watch what they do is they take the left guard and they pull him this way to make this guy come. Then they run the back in there without any block. They call that a sucker trap. Watch the left guard. He's going to pull to his right. You see, the center blocks back, and they don't block those guys. And they're supposed to pursue, and when they don't, you run into an air ball.
That guy's played in there a long time. This is Craig. Out of bounds in Bear territory, shoved out by Singletary. But he got 6 yards.
Hey, I think that battle's about even, that battle between Singletary and Roger Craig. The one that the Bears are losing or have lost in that first half is the one between Rice and the secondary.
3rd and 3. 49ers at the Bear 47. They lead 14-3. We're just underway in quarter number 3. John Frank on the move, and Montana back to throw it. And down he goes, up and out to Rathman. And Rathman hammers down to about the Bear 35 before he is stopped by Singletary, a pickup of 11.
I think Montana hurt his leg on that. I think he hurt his left hamstring. He's grabbing that. That's the second time that he slipped in that same area. But that's pretty good. Coming back, watch him to come back and then slip, then recover from the slip. You see, it's when he's planting both times, then step up, find the guy, and get a first down.
I think it's on that paint where they've got the Bear insignia that's frozen. The paint's frozen. This is Craig. He's not frozen. Craig to about the 25. Durison on the stop. 11-yard gain. Or close to it.
Well, the 49er offense has the Bear defense off balance, and they've done that with mixture. I think the thing that really started it when they were able to hit Jerry Rice. And then I think that took and softened up that Bear defense a little where they just couldn't play run all day. That's what Rice will give you. And now they don't know whether to play run aggressively, sell out for the run, or to play soft for the pass. And that's exactly where you want.
49ers at the Bear 25, just outside it.
Bears are trying to fire this crowd up for one more shot for them.
Rathman. Spinning couple. Up by Steve McMichael.
I think the Bears realize here again the finality of this, and they're going to get a turnover. I feel if the Bears are going to get back into this game, they have to do it, one, with their defense, and by making a big play through a turnover. And you can see that they're going for it and going for getting turnovers, but they can't get them.
2nd and 7. Here's Montana back to throw it again. Outside to Rice. At the 5, out of bounds by Maurice Douglas. Another good throw by Montana.
I'll tell you, that was a great pattern by Jerry Rice. He's going to come in like he's going to the post and then go back to the corner. Watch him, 80 here. Now he comes like he's going in, and then he just goes back to the outside on Mike Richardson. Richardson didn't have a chance.
Just went right by him.
He did. That was one of the things that last time the Bears bumped Jerry Rice around. So this time, the 49ers are moving him through motion so that they can't get a hit on him.
First and goal from the 5 is Wilson, but that's Jerry Rice and a diving completion. He says he caught it. We got to have another look at that one. I thought he caught it too.
I did too. I don't know what he said no, because he didn't go out of bounds either. I don't understand that one. Maybe we'll see something here we didn't see with our raw eyes. Oh, I see what they're saying, that the ball hit the ground. I thought he was giving a signal he didn't have control before he went out of bounds. He's saying that he didn't have control. That's a heck of a reaction there.
I'll tell you what.
I don't know. They're not reviewing it. Oh, yeah, they are now. Now they're going to review it. I think for effort, you can give the guy a touchdown.
Here's Roger Craig. Just nudged it inside the 5, run out of bounds by Singletary and Hampton.
I think the Bears defense knows right now when you just start this third period and the other one, with the weather getting worse here, it can get to a point where it's almost impossible.
9:39 left to play. 3rd and goal at the 5 now. Rice is split wide left. Montana, touchdown. John Frank, the tight end. His 3rd of the day, Montana.
And there were the 3 last week. I'll tell you, 2 super games for Joe Montana. Joe Montana was looking on that pass for Jerry Rice, and he came back to John Frank. And I think that was a great drive on the road by the 49ers against a fired-up Bear defense coming out of a locker room.
That'll put out some of the fire. Montana's 15 out of 22, 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 to Rice, 1 to Frank. Cofer for the extra point with Young holding.
Kick is good.
Well, you remember the Super Bowl we did in Detroit, in Pontiac, Cincinnati, and San Francisco.
Could very well be a repeat of those same 2. Little different coaching staff on the one side, though.
9:33 left in the 3rd, and the 49ers lead at 21. Chicago, and it is frigid.
And I bet you when they look back after this game, Pat, that both teams will probably say that was the biggest drive of the game.
Hit 3. Flag on the play. Stopped by Sam Kennedy, but a penalty marker is down.
That's one thing. Have you ever noticed over the years that you see fewer and fewer penalties in championship games? I know the officials are an all-star crew. Now, maybe that's the reason. The players are maybe playing at a little higher level. That could be the reason.
Block in the back. Number 88 during the return.
I think also it could be
10 yards.
the philosophy, hey, let them play.
I think there's some of that, too. And I think that maybe if that were taken all year, it would be a better game. Because it happens every year, every championship game. And in the Super Bowl, you won't see a lot of penalties called either.
The 49ers have not been penalized at all, and the Bears only twice.
No, and the 49ers were one of the most penalized teams in the league this year.
That was Suey in motion. Here's McMahon. He has to get rid of it in a hurry, and he does to Anderson. And he got 4 or 5, maybe. Charles Haley, the defender, number 84.
See, that was a big touchdown for the 49ers because now they can play a softer defense and just not let the Bears get a big one. Let them have that underneath stuff. Let them push the pile a little. Let them do a little inside running, but don't get the big one or don't get the quick one. They can play a totally different game on defense now.
2nd and 6. McKinnon with the move, man. This is Anderson again. Out of bounds at about the 46 by Jeff Fuller. Anderson has been hurting, and he is staying down now.
He's had a bad leg, and it's been a pull in the leg area. It's been a hamstring and a groin. There, he looked like there's a face mask there, and that looked like the first thing that hit the ground was his head.
Fuller made the stop. The people you got to be concerned about. You play the 49ers. Here's McMahon. Incomplete. McIntyre made the hit on McKinnon.
Hey, if McIntyre is happy, that's Neil Anderson that's still down. Over on the Bears sideline, receivers in the National Football League.
2nd and 10. The Bears with the ball at their own 47. 49ers leading at 21-3. Buster's the motion man. Sanders. 49ers have it. Haley scooped it up.
See the blocking up front. Again, it's a draw play. They're just picking up the stunts. They want to let them run by. Let them run by and get to the quarterback. Then you just break it through on a draw. As they started through, he just got the ball knocked out of there. Michael Walter. Watch 99. 99 is the guy who's going to knock it out of Sanders' hand. See, he stuck his right hand in, knocked it out of Sanders' left hand.
He rambles to about the 43, stopped by Singletary and Hampton. Neil Anderson finally up. He stayed down on the ground a long time after he was knocked out of bounds after that run. He has 56 yards and 13 carries. From Graceville, Florida. Not used to this kind of weather.
Well, he's been used to it for a few years while he's been here for the Bears.
Yeah, right.
He's going to take Walter Pace to play as long as him. He better get used to it.
Rathman hit behind the line and stopped finally for no gain by Singletary.
I think if I had to take a 49er player and say that who is probably the most underrated player on this team, I would go with Tom Rathman. I think that, you look at the statistics, say who's the third leading receiver, for example, on the team. Well, Craig and Rice are 1-2, but this guy here is the third leading receiver of the team. You know what he does as a blocker. You know what he does as a runner. He's on special teams.
He averages 4.2 yards per carry. An asset. Montana has Roger Craig as the lone setback. Again, he stumbled on that same spot. Montana scampered for a first down. Again, for an update on what it's like down on the field and the weather, let's go to Irv Cross.
Pat, everybody's talking about the weather in Chicago this weekend, but nobody knows more about it than Steve Baskerville, our weatherman here at WBBM. Steve, what are conditions here tonight?
It's 18 degrees out there now. The wind chill factor is 20 below because the wind's out of the west at 21 miles an hour.
I mean, it's getting warmer, but we're still cold?
It was cold at the start of this game than it is now, but I'm still cold. I don't know about you.
I'm still cold, too. And by the way, the field is frozen, Pat.
I'm sure it is, and so are we, and I know you are too, Herb. Here's Montana back to throw it. Up top to Taylor. Complete in the end zone, covered by Vesey Jackson.
I'll tell you, you talk about underrated players. I'll show you another one. This guy here is really playing well. Right there, Steve Wallace, the left tackle. Just watch him. Last week he had Chris Dolman, and he handled Dolman. I don't know that Dolman made a play. Watch him out there on Sean Smith. You haven't seen him around there. I tell you, this is a guy who's just starting his first year as a starter. But he has been playing that open side tackle these last couple of weeks. Excellent.
2nd and 10. This Rathman trying again. Up the middle. 2 yards. Hampton on the stop.
There's Dan Hampton right down here in the middle. Let's watch him play. He's moved from end to tackle this year. He has not only that size and strength, but those quick moves. You see how he just made one of those swim techniques, threw his left arm over, and he's right in the backfield and can't even touch him.
3rd down. Montana semi-rollout, chased by Hampton, who was cut down. Incomplete. Out of bounds. Rice was the intended target. Rathman cut down Hampton.
Now, one thing the Bears didn't expect is Montana to roll to the left. Watch Rathman come back in here. We talked about how he runs, how he catches, but that's the other thing that he does. And again, at that, he's one of the best. That's why Roger Craig is the MVP in this league.
Because of Rathman.
Because of Tom Rathman.
Helton will punt it. Bears look like they'll put the heat on it, and they do. Not much in the way of distance. 13 yards, in fact. That won't get you in the finals. 21-3 with 5:52 left in the third quarter. 49er.
Yeah, I bet those 49ers, they're probably even sweating good down there.
First down, Bears at their own 21. Jim McMahon, quarterback. Pass complete to Matsui. But as John Madden pointed out before, they'll give them all those they want.
That's the thing. You see, now they can play a softer defense. Watch the blocking down here with Jay Hilgenberg on Michael Carter. You see, the thing Hilgenberg wants to do is get that hand up there quickly. See, by getting that left hand up, he can stop Carter there and then just let him get pushed a little to McMahon and still give him time.
I like his hat. 2nd and 6.
Never seen that one before. Yellow one.
McMahon gets it out quickly to Thornton. To the 40. Stopped by Ronnie Lott. A gain of 15.
Hey, this guy's a man, this Thornton guy. I mean, watch him come out here. He's the tight end. McMahon is watching him all the way. He's going to go back, hit Thornton on that little look-in type of thing, and then let him run away like a truck or something. Look at the size of that guy's arms and shoulders and stuff. They really can't afford to lose their tight end because now they have to play another rookie, Brent Novoselsky, the only other tight end they have.
Now is Davis in motion, and McMahon flips out of the pocket. Now he's going to take off with it. Close to midfield. Stopped by Walter. That's Thornton over on the Bear bench. Bears alternating fullbacks to get the plays in. First down for them.
Hey, the Bears have to think of getting a quick strike here. I mean, they have to get something to work on.
Beg your pardon, he did not get a first down. It's 2nd and 1.
That kind of helps them because then they can go for a big one here.
Anderson over the right side.
I thought in that situation that play pass would be an excellent call, you know, and go for the big one. Then if you don't get it, you always have 2 downs to get the first down again.
They get the first down. Anderson, 14 carries, 59 yards. And the Bears get into 49er territory, trailing 21-3 with just over 3 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Pocket, setting up the screen. And he got about 5.
See what the 49ers can do again is play that softer defense, play the zones, let them have that short stuff, and then converge and gang tackle. And I think that last play was a perfect example of that. Watch the convergence on this. Watch, they'll drop back. Now it's a screen. Now watch the pursuit and all the white jerseys around there. You want to get this played like a triangle. You want a guy on the outside, a guy on the inside, and a guy right in front of the guy running the screen.
2nd and 6. McMahon has to throw it away. Neil Anderson was in the area, but way over his head. Earlier today, as I'm sure most of you know by now, Cincinnati beat Buffalo for the AFC Championship 21-10. The winner of this game will play the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
I think we ought to congratulate the Cincinnati Bengals for the great year, the comeback they've had, the job that Sam Weich did and his coaching staff, and of course the outstanding organization led by Paul Brown, a legend in this game. Congratulations.
And a great year by Boomer Esiason as well. Here's McMahon on 3rd down, incomplete. Over the head of Dennis McKinnon.
I know what McMahon's thinking now. He's thinking that he should have had that one. But one thing he said, I'm not rusty. I've practiced for 4 weeks. I'm not rusty. And the only way that's going to come out is if we lose. They're going to say I was rusty, but that's not it. That this is a mental game. At this type of the season, this part of the season is just a mental game.
Very important to him to do well in this game. He said to us yesterday, no matter what happens, there are trade rumors, they're talking about him going somewhere else, but he said no matter what happens, I'm going to continue to live here in Chicago.
Yeah, and he would like to be here to play, too.
Sure. Taylor is going to let it bounce, and it bounces out of bounds at about the 15 or 16-yard line. For the 49ers to take over. 28-yard punt. Tough throwing, tough kicking, and tough, obviously, staying warm at Soldier Field today. 49ers 21, Bears 3. Minute 46 left in the pitch, lost 2. Tough enough to battle the elements. Look what happens when you cover punts.
Yeah, that's the only guy that can go down when the ball snaps. So they always put 2 out on him, and it's usually 2 pretty tough guys. Watch that 38 of the 49ers, Greg Cox. He's one of the tough rookies in this league.
2nd and 12. Just over a minute left in the third quarter. 49ers up 21-3. Montana trying to make himself heard. Back to throw it. Maybe. To the 20. Knocked down by Jim Morrissey.
One of the things about Montana, there was a period this year where he was starting and not starting, and when he would get a rush, he would go down easily. He would see something like that, and he would just go down. These last couple of weeks, he's gone back to the old Joe Montana. Have you noticed that? He felt the rush, the unblocked guy, boom, he takes the ball up the middle.
And he took on Morrissey, too. There was no sliding.
No, he's a changed guy. He's playing with a lot of confidence now.
To Roger Craig. Craig, a about a yard shy of a first down, I think. Stopped by Singletary. They keep that clock running.
Yeah, we were talking about, that Jim McMahon may be traded, or there's talk about that. Well, there was a lot of talk about Joe Montana not only being traded, but Steve Young starting, Joe Montana being through. I don't think any of those above are going to happen.
That's the end of the third quarter then with the score. San Francisco 21. The Chicago Bears 3.
Denny Green right here, one of the assistants who was just named head coach at Stanford this past week. So he's been kind of working both. He's been working as a Stanford head coach and a 49er assistant coach.
McKinnon fields the punt and slipped down as that part of the field is getting harder and harder. George Toma, who the NFL to field, Pat Summerall, John Madden. And it's frigid Soldier Field as the 49ers lead the Bears 21-3. With that wind chill factor, it's dropped back down now to 20 below. Gentry split wide to the right. McMahon back to throw it. Going deep for Gentry. Incomplete. Tim McKyer with excellent coverage. It's hard to throw it in that direction that deep.
And the Bears are forced to do that now. I think that's what we saw. The 49ers, by coming out, getting that drive in the third quarter, getting ahead 21-3, then playing a softer defense, and now getting into the fourth quarter, have forced the Bears to have to press now. And they have to try and get the ball deep. They can't sit and dink off and do those type of things. They have to get a big one.
2nd and 10 now. Bear ball at their own 40. The handoff is to Sanders. The 49ers are equal. Romanowski and Fagan. Fuller.
I think that's a big thing. Fuller, they really haven't been able to keep him out of there.
Thermometers down on field side. And you can see every reason why it would be difficult to maintain any sort of traction. Sanders is an injured Bear. We have 14:26 left to play with the 49ers leading 21-3. Here's that last play again. Play by Fuller.
And we were talking about Fuller being all over the place. He has the interception. When they throw, he's back there. And when they run, he's up on the line of scrimmage. Jeff Fuller's having a career day today. They thought the guys from San Francisco, the weather would bother them, 20 below, they couldn't play. I'll tell you one thing, both sides of the ball, this 49er team has played today.
3rd and 13. There's McMahon. Again, he's chased out of the pocket. Finally gets it. Can't find a handle. And the Bears will have to punt it.
And I can think now that you can see the frustration on the Bears, both sides, both their offense now. I think we saw it the last time the defense was in there. Again, you can see it slipping away. They can feel it slipping away. But I think all the credit goes to the 49ers because they made it slip away.
John Taylor back deep for the 49ers. Ryan Wagner, the Bear punter, off the side of his foot again. Tough to kick today. Taylor is hit down at about the 30, maybe the 31-yard line. 37-yard punt. It turned out to be a return of 6.
I know, throw it in.
A couple of guys might have made it today. That's for Taylor. Incomplete. Bestie Jackson, the defender, at the last second.
John Taylor's trying to say he was being held. That's right. There are some guys in this game that are going to make it today. I think some guys should make some teams just for showing up and performing. in this type of weather, because it really hasn't been evident. The, minus 20 hasn't been evident in the play.
And it looks so, as you and I were talking before the game, it looks so innocent from up here.
Oh, when you're just looking at it in pictures, it is innocent. Everyone said, oh, what are they talking about weather? Get down there, it's a different world.
That's Rice on the move, and it's a handoff to Roger Craig. Craig to about the 38. Gain of 9, stopped by Maurice Douglas. And they keep that clock running.
Yeah, one thing is this game speeds up, Pat. Sometimes you get the feeling that you play faster in cold weather. Have you noticed that the teams don't tend to spend as much time in the huddle? I mean, it's kind of boom, get in, get out, and go play. And they don't want to spend a lot of time standing around. They want to get with action.
Dan Hampton just came out. Dick Shapiro took his place. Hampton has had 7 knee operations. Here's the reverse to Rice. And a first down for the 49ers. Well executed. Stopped by Harris. There's Mike Tomczak.
Well, yesterday when I talked to McMahon, he told me that on the airplane coming back from Swanee, Georgia on Friday, Mike Ditka came up to him and says, you're going to start because I think you're the healthiest. And he said the other reason is you're 3-0 against the 49ers. And he said, but I'll tell you what, if you don't do well, I'm going to take you out of there. Of course, it's a fourth quarter until he does it.
They haven't been able to get anybody open. That's Craig again. He is stopped by Shapiro.
There's a guy, 13 years in his league. He's been on the 2 49er teams that won the Super Bowl. 49ers get the win here today. That'll be Randy Cross's 3rd Super Bowl. And I think that, as he says, the closer you get to the end of the career, the more important they are to you.
Of course, John, on the other 2 Super Bowl teams, he was a guard. And he's made that transition to center now and sort of anchored the 49er offensive line.
Sure has. One of those guys who always gets the job done.
Timeout, 49ers. Montana didn't care for what he saw. And so he stopped it and went to the sideline. The great Michael Jordan in action against Boston. 2nd down now, San Francisco. Craig trots in motion, and Montana's going to put it up. Has Rathman wide open. He slipped down, but still managed to get a first down.
I think Joe Montana's doing some of this play calling or reading on his own, because that was one of the things he told us last night. He said, I would just like to see us get the ball more to Rathman. He said, I know Roger Craig's a great player and all these other guys, but he said, I think he has done a lot for us, but I think if we featured him a little more, he could even do a lot more for us. And then he came out here and did this today.
Rathman's one of those guys who looks like he lives in his uniform. And he slipped down on that paint again. That part of the field.
Yeah, he's a football player.
Almost.
When you just look at him, he just looks like a football player. With the kind that comes to training camp and has the shoes tied over his shoulder. And
Right, he looks like he's still got them in there.
Yeah, he has an extra pair of shoes under the shoulder pads.
2nd down and 9.
But I think the 49ers needed some of that, and if you look at the type of day they had, they're almost perfect. No penalties, 1 turnover, only 2 quarterback sneaks. They've only had 10 incomplete passes all day.
It's Craig again. And there's no way that he's going to be tired or ever show any sign of being close to being fatigued.
Yeah, I saw him one time in the locker room with no clothes on, and he is really chiseled out. I mean, he lost 10 pounds, and he is probably as close to the perfect weight for a running back as you can get.
About 212, 210, something like that. When he was a fullback, he was heavier. and he said he felt like a fullback. Now he looks like a greyhound.
Oh, yeah, and he runs hills, and, you know, he has massages after games and all those things. He really takes care of his body.
That's Rathman for the first down inside the 35. Sean Smith made the stop.
See Steve Wallace here, 74. He's the guy I think that's been doing an excellent job on this 49er team. I think last week against the Vikings he played great. And I think today he's played super.
Well, he said during the week he didn't think that the 49er offensive line got enough respect. Now they do.
He's the guy when he first started playing, he'd be in a fight after every play. He said he was trying to get respect. Then the coaches have had to really calm him down.
That's Rathman straight ahead, hit by Singletary.
But hey, he gets on a block and stays with him. You see him that time blocking Jim Morrissey? Steve Wallace just fires out, gets on his guy, and just keeps driving him. You know, he was from Auburn, and he blocked there for Bo Jackson. But watch him when he gets on a linebacker. He just smothers the guy. I mean, he doesn't just take him a yard or two. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards back he takes him. He's a good player.
Up in his face. Yeah, he is. Second down and 5. And off to Craig. Down to about the Bear 27-yard line. Stopped again by Singletary.
You know, and I think it's guys like Steve Wallace and John Frank and Tom Rathman, some guys we talked about, that have really changed this 49er team to, you know, these are kind of the spirit guys, the tough guys, the fighters, the guys that are always going after you. And for years, the 49er team was a kind of a finesse team, and they didn't like it. And then with those three guys and their personalities, they changed to, hey, we're not a finesse team. We'll get after you pretty good this group.
Plus, they've gotten so much better on defense. Montana has a man wide open. It's Roger Craig. Craig inside the 10 to about the 5. We said earlier we'd like to congratulate Sam White. We'd like to do it in person right now. Sam, congratulations to you and the Bengals.
Yeah, I'll tell you, great job, Sam. Not only today, but the whole season and the comeback and everything that you've done and gone through. You really deserve everything you got.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. It's been a great year.
Hey, it has been, and you know, and the way that they played in that stadium and not losing a game at home. Okay, and that organization deserves a heck of a lot of credit.
This is Rathman touchdown. And Sam White and his Cincinnati Bengals will be playing in the Super Bowl against San Francisco. And Sam will be on, by the way, in our postgame show, chatting with Brent Musburger, Irv, and Dick Butkus.
See, Tom Rathman ran that touchdown in there. The first guy to get in there and congratulate him was his old running back buddy from Nebraska, Roger Craig. Because Tom Rathman has been the guy that's had a block most of the year for Craig. And once in a while, it's nice to get the old blocker a touchdown.
Kofer for the extra point with Young holding. Bengals, of course, eliminated Buffalo earlier, and the 49ers are going to eliminate the Bears today. 6:53 left. Another impressive drive by San Francisco. 12 plays, 70 yards. They kept the ball 6 minutes, 53 seconds. Rathman got the touchdown. And the 49ers in command of this situation and leading the Bears 28-3 with 6:53 left to play. Over to kick off, Wendell Davis deep. Doesn't need to be deep. Here comes the Bear reverse. Stinson on the reverse, still on his feet. Trying to break out of the pack, and finally does. The 49ers fell down, and the tacklers, or those who looked like they had a chance to make a tackle. And footing now is really getting treacherous.
That's the type of play that the Bears were looking for earlier. You know, something to reverse, something to a turnover, something to change the pace of this thing. Starts off to the right, then it goes back in reverse to the left, sees a whole bunch of white jerseys out there, says, whoa, let me get back to the other side and see if I can find something. That's a heck of a lot of running to get the ball just past midfield.
Lemuel Stinson.
Look at poor old Gopher trying to kick that. The trouble he had, you see there was his plant foot.
Yeah.
The left foot.
Tomczak. Complete. Again, let's go down for an update on the weather conditions and what happened to Herb Cross again.
Pat, we're down in the first aid room, which is looking at right now is a young lady from the Highland High School marching band who's getting treatment on her tender feet right now. And the lady who's in charge of the first aid room down there is a registered nurse, Priscilla Hallberg. Priscilla, how many cases have you had today?
30.
And what's been the nature of the complaints?
Mostly we call it aspirin Band-Aid crowd, headaches and a cut myself, stomach problems or medical problems that they had prior to the game.
Any frostbite problems?
None.
None at all. Sounds pretty good down here, Pat. Cold, but we're doing fine. Pat?
All right, Herb, thank you. Tomczak pass complete to Neil Anderson, a pickup of 13, a Bear first down.
Hey, this is going to be a long off season for Jim McMahon. Last year, Joe Montana had to live with that one. Remember when they lost to Minnesota? And was all year, was Steve Young going to start, or was he going to start? Was he finished? Would they trade him? And I could see the same thing being set up here with McMahon.
Intended by Tomczak for Morris, incomplete. Makes it 2nd and 10.
There is a guy who has done an outstanding job, though, Mike Ditka. I mean, he came into this game, and with everything that he went through, not only personally, he had the heart attack, he lost all those players, you know, through trades, through injuries, and to come up with the best record in the NFC, this was one of the most amazing coaching feats I have ever seen.
And do it with 13 new players from time to time on his roster. Pass from Tomczak to McKinnon is complete inside the 49er 20. A gain of 13 and another Bear first down. Darryl Pollard made the stop. Less than 6 minutes left now.
You can see McKinnon is just running a hook pattern in there against the zone. The Bears are going now with no huddle, trying to get a score here.
Flag on the play. Neil Anderson, the ball carrier. Steve Young, in the meantime, is warming up on the 49ers sideline. Larry Roberts made the stop.
I think it was against Steve Van Horn. Keith Van Horn. You can see Steve Young warming up there.
Holding, number 63, offense, first down.
That was against the center, Jay Hilgenberg. I'll tell you one thing, they can argue now, but the game 28-3, there's been very few penalties. I don't know if the 49ers have had a penalty.
None.
49ers have had no penalties. There's an ex-nose tackle, I think. I think it was an ex-nose tackle played in the years with no face mask. Oh, no, it's a hat.
It's a cold Chicago Bear. 1st and 20. Tomczak almost has it picked off by Darryl Pollard under pressure from Steve Cox. Intended for McKinnon.
You know, I think the first half, the 49ers jumped out, and then where they won the game was in the second half. You can see they come out in the third quarter, had that big drive. So in the second half, they had 172 yards, and the Bears have gone down. They only had 78. So the thing was still up for grabs, maybe a little at halftime. And then when the 49ers just came over and dominated the third quarter,
it was 14-3 at the half, and the 49ers had a great drive. That's Munster inside the 20. A pickup of 9 stopped by Greg Cox. 5 minutes and now less left. The Bengals and the 49ers.
There's a guy who played a heck of a game today, a heck of a game for 2 weeks, Steve Wallace. Old left tackle. You know, old tackles don't get much credit, but sometimes they do.
3rd and 11, the pass complete to Morris. Morris down to about the 11. Stopped by Fuller.
Down by Fuller. Run out.
If you're on that sideline, it's cold. If you're on the other sideline, you don't feel it as much.
Oh, no, they'll be throwing everything all over each other in a little while. They have 2 weeks, you know, to get ready. They'll go back to San Francisco for a week, and then they'll go down to Miami. Ready down there for the Bengals.
What do you think now that Bill Walsh will do?
I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Walsh takes the 49ers to the Super Bowl and then gets his hat. Goes off into the sunset.
Plays tennis.
Yep, does something else. I think that Bill Walsh is one of the great coaches in the NFL of all time. And this will be his 3rd Super Bowl. And I think he's at an age 57 years old where he's at the end. He has another year in a contract at $1.3 million. Now, I know that's tough to walk away from. I know his owner, Eddie DeBartolo, said he can coach as long as he wants to. I think it's going to be his decision, though.
And I think that's very important to him. And it is his decision. Here's Dan Hampton. 7 knee operations and hurting again. You wonder if he's coming back again after all that pain. And
I think he's one of those guys who's a football player forever. And one of the things that guys were falling down around him, and Dan Hampton was always there. Always have that middle. Dan Hampton, Steve McMichael, Mike Singletary. No matter what was happening, this guy played, and I think that a lot of the credit for the year that these Bears had goes to this guy.
in terms of ability and leadership, the 49ers sent in Steve Young as their quarterback. Sidney, the ball carrier. Stopped by Al Harris.
There was a guy who was a coach of the year, and again, with all those guys that he lost, and you know, and people said he was doing it with mirrors, and I kind of agree. You know, you wonder, I mean, how you can lose this guy and that guy and the others, the injuries and the trades. But they'll be back because they're there now. And you know, the interesting thing is they have 3 first-round draft choices this year, more than anyone. So they have a team that's in the Nfc Championship, having 3 first-round draft choices next year.
That's Sidney again, and stopped by John Shannon.
Hey, there's my guy. I think it would be the defensive MVP in this game. Look at him. I mean, he's been out there in battle. I mean, he got that right arm, blood coming down there. I mean, he doesn't even know it.
Well, we talked to the Vikings last week, and Wade Wilson, you said, what do you think you have to do? He said, I got to find out where 42 and 49 are, and 94. Haley, Lott, and Fuller. And we asked yesterday the Bears what they thought. You got to find out where number 49 is.
You got to get him blocked.
They haven't been able to do that. Terrence Flagler, the ball carrier this time. Bestie Jackson tripped him up. Guy McIntyre.
There's Eddie DeBartolo, the owner of the 49ers, in there with the offensive lineman. That's a smart owner. Then get down there for the guys that get in the trenches for you. You don't have to go with all those fancy positions all the time.
Now is Ricky Ellison right there in the red hat and the fur-lined jacket. That's Eddie DeBartolo right there. There's a guy. The score is 28-3. 49ers leading. But this guy, Singletary, is still just as intense. ball carrier. No gain. Stopped by Morrissey.
And how about Jerry Rice, the guy that, didn't do much for a while when he had that bad ankle, hadn't been very good in the playoffs until last week. And then said, playoffs, I'll show you playoffs. Last week, 3 touchdowns against the Vikings. Today, 2 touchdowns, the first 2 touchdowns.
To break it open, being rapidly as the NFC Championship game comes to an end. Pat Summerall along with John Madden. Score now with less than 2 minutes left to play is 28-3. Jerry Rice. This is for the benefit of those of you who might have joined us late. 5 receptions, 133 yards. The first 2 49er touchdowns. Joe Montana, an outstanding day under these weather conditions. 17 out of 27, 3 touchdowns. The Bears, led by their captain, Mike Singletary, just couldn't get it together.
I'll tell you, you're talking about an MVP. I think that Joe Montana, these last 2 weeks in the playoffs, has put on a quarterback coaching clinic.
He really has.
How to play quarterback. Get the ball to your guys, get rid of the ball quickly, do what you have to win, move.
1 minute and 11 seconds remain now as the 49ers take a timeout. Kelvin gets rid of it, and as things have gone, it takes the 49er roll. At the 15, the Cincinnati bus is leaving for Joe Robbie Stadium, followed by the 49er bus. And again, a reminder, we'll be talking with Sam Weich after the game is over, or Brent Musburger, Irv, and Dick Butkus will. A rematch of Super Bowl 16.
And then everyone remembers as they'll be talking to Bill Walsh in the winner's locker room that Sam Weich was an assistant.
Right.
For Bill Walsh with the 49ers. And of course that Bill Walsh at one time was an assistant for the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course the first Super Bowl that the 49ers won was against the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's a lot of history there in this one.
This is 26-21 in Pontiac, Michigan. Dennis Gentry, the receiver, the intended receiver, incomplete. That's the first Super Bowl we did. Tonight on CBS, a reminder again, Eddie DeBartolo headed for the 49er locker room. In fact, he's already there. The celebration will begin in less than a minute. Here's Tomczak. Pass caught by Gentry. Stopped by Michael Walter and Fuller.
One thing about the 49ers and their owner, Eddie DeBartolo, he's learned a lot in a week. Here's Harris Martin, the big right tackle. But last week, Eddie was in the locker room, washed his hands to shake hands. This week, he says, the heck with it. He's down on the field. And he goes in there. He's going to stay dirty for those guys come in. They're going to come in frozen tonight.
Sorry,
they don't care.
That last pass was not caught by Gentry. So it's 3rd down and 10 for the Bears. Tomczak.
This is the old 3-8, 3-man line and 8 guys deep.
Tomczak. Gentry this time it is complete. Clock still runs. Now 30 seconds remain, and the 49ers headed south. We talked last week against the Vikings about who the producers had to be, and the producers have produced the last 2 weeks for San Francisco. Tomczak to McKinnon. All we'd like to do right now with the clock running down is to say to all of you, everybody who's helped John and me so much, thank you for this year.
I'll tell you, this is our last one, and it sure has been enjoyable with working with you again, Pat, as every year, and Bob Stenner, our producer, Sandy Grossman, Richie Zients, the crew, the cameraman, the sound, everyone, because in their own right, they're all first team, they're all Super Bowl teams.
So very true. So the final score, the 49ers 28, the Bears 3. Stay tuned for...
I hear you, Duke. So we're inside.
All right, go ahead. Okay.
Well, as the San Francisco 49ers are now saying inside their locker room, it was cold in Chicago and the Bears could not put out the San Francisco fire. And let me welcome the president of the National Football Conference, the owner of the New York Giants, Wellington Mara, who has a presentation to make to Eddie DeBartolo.
Eddie, congratulations to you, to Bill, the great staff, and your great players, not just for today, but for the great season, for all the many championship seasons before.
Thank you,
And with it go my very best wishes for success in Miami.
Thank
It'll
you.
be a little warmer down there.
Coach, this is yours and this is yours, guys, because we had a tough year, but we are together, and I thank you. And I thank you, Bill, for being the best coach in football, and for you guys being the best team in football. God bless you. This is yours.
And we are going to continue live from the winner's locker room. We'll hear from Coach Walsh. We'll check in with Sam Weiss, who they'll be meeting in the Super Bowl in just a moment. At the victorious locker room of the NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers, they're going to the Super Bowl for the third time in a decade. Historically, that is so very important to the man I'm with right now, Coach Bill Walsh. Bill, what about the conditions out here in Soldier Field? How'd they compare?
I'm freezing. They made a big issue of it in the Chicago press. The crowd did, and I believe them. It was cold, but believe it or not, it might have been in our best interest.
You had some nice things to say about Joe Montana while we were away briefly.
Well, in my mind, this could have been his greatest game under the conditions, under the pressure. And with all he had to prove, this may have been his best game.
Okay, an old friend of yours is standing by. Put on this headset right now, Coach Walsh. I want everybody to know that Sam Weiss, who is taking the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl, he was brought back from the obscurity of a sporting goods owner. He was developing a franchise in the Southeast. And, Sam, I know you have some congratulations to pass along to your former boss, Bill Walsh.
Well, Bill's a great friend, and I congratulate you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, Sam. We've been through a lot together, and I guess we have one more experience together.
Yeah, and I've been watching the ball game. Your team's playing well. We had a big win for us today, and this is kind of the end of a storybook year for us, as you know, and the rematch is just super.
Well, it really is, and congratulations, Sam. I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to bring that team back, and you did, so congratulations.
Well,
Sam, I want to ask you, I'm sure you prefer finding yourself in the underdog position. San Francisco and Bill has already been installed as a 5-point favorite. Your feelings about that?
They're already 5-point favorites, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. This is a neutral site now. We are going to play this one in Miami. There's no home field advantage. I think probably that's the way it ought to be. That's where we've been all year long, kind of coming from the underside of things.
Look at this.
I've already said
yeah,
Bill. Now let me get through.
You know what, Bill, one of the things I've noticed in the NFL really is sometimes the teachers have an advantage on the students when they coach against them. I remember how Paul Brown, nobody who ever played or coached on could ever beat him. Do you have an advantage, or does the student, in this case Sam Weiss, have the edge?
The student has all the answers. I say this honestly, Sam's the most creative coach in football today, and he's been and he's one of the great ones.
All right, Sam, your feelings.
Well, here he comes right back trying to set me up again, Brent. But, you know, Bill and I have a lot of great experiences that we've shared together, and, of course, we think a great deal of each other. And I'm just happy to be part of the Cincinnati Bengal organization for this year, and happy to be in this Super Bowl and playing against another fine team, the 49ers.
All right, congratulations to two outstanding coaches who are the best of friends, but they will not be on that Sunday afternoon down in Joe Robbie Stadium. And we're going to continue live from Soldier Field with our post-game show in just a moment. That Joe Montana had a big day, 3 touchdown passes, and he played that great Cotton Bowl for Notre Dame. But How about this young receiver from Mississippi? What's he doing coming into Chicago on a day like this, Joe, and get the job done? Jerry Rice.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's one of the best that you're going to see around, and he had a big day today, and hopefully we can just carry it on for 2 more weeks.
Jerry, let's roll up that first touchdown. That's a great move. You froze the defensive back, and then Crum kind of puts his head down and goes through it. Talk to me about it.
Well, just before the play, Joe told me if he throw the ball up, just try to go up and get it. And I went up and I caught the ball, and I was able to go the distance.
How about the cold? Did it bother you at all? You came back with a second touchdown catch in the first half.
It was cold at first, but I think we really kept our composure and just went into this game today and just played hard-nosed football.
Joe, I think the coaching staff here deserves a lot of credit. There was some great motivation at work the last 2 weeks with this franchise.
I think so. You know, Bill really prepared us well, and I think he really took it upon himself to make sure we were ready, not only mentally, but physically. And we backed off a little bit, and we came into the game fresh. I'll tell you what, those 5 guys up in front of me deserve a whole lot of credit because they played a good front four today and played well.
Okay. Jerry and Joe, good luck down in Miami with Cincinnati.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the other side of the story, Coach Mike Ditka and his feelings about losing. Well, just a short time ago, he spoke to our Irv Cross.
Mike, you have to be proud of your football team. 13 rookies in your club. You win the Central Division Championship, and you're just 1 game away from the Super Bowl.
Well, that's what I try to tell Merv. I think there's a lot of reasons to keep their head high. I think you got to put things in perspective. I want to congratulate Coach Walsh and the 49ers, their organization. I think that the way they've come on and played, and they've gone through a lot of adversity, is a great compliment to their football players and their coaches and their whole organization. We're proud of our guys. We tried. We knew we had some shortcomings because of the injuries we had, and I don't know, it just didn't work out today. But, you know, in our defeat, we can't take anything away from them in their victory. It was great for them.
All right, and so we'll continue live from Soldier Field, where the San Francisco 49ers have earned the right to go to Super Bowl 23 and play Cincinnati in just a moment. The 49ers, having already been established as a 5-point favorite. Pat Summerall and John Madden, what do you think about the upcoming Super Bowl?
Well, Brent, you know, we did a Cincinnati game the last Saturday of the regular season. We've seen the 49ers a lot this year. In fact, we've never seen them lose this year. I don't know. John Madden certainly is more qualified than I. What do you think?
I don't know if I'm qualified or not. I mean, we did see the Bengals. I was impressed with the Bengals. I mean, they have a lot of firepower, but in watching the 49ers the last 2 weeks, you know, this has been an up and down season. You know, you go and you think this team's the best team, and then boom, they get knocked off the next week. Then you think that team is the best, and then they'd get knocked off, and it's been kind of that season until right now. I think the last 2 weeks we've seen the 49ers, and I think they are right now playing the best football in the NFL, and I think they're the best team we've seen all year.
Quickly, John, what about the 2 quarterbacks, Montana and Esiason?
I'll tell you, it's going to be great. I mean, Joe Montana is playing as well as he's ever played right now. Boomer Esiason, he was the MVP in the AFC. I think you got a great matchup.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Back to you, Brent. Thank you.
All right, Pat and John, thank you, too. And, you know, it's sort of interesting inside this locker room right now. The San Francisco 49ers came inside. Obviously, they were happy. There was a brief celebration, however. It's almost as though business as usual with this team, and there is still one appointment left before they fulfill their destiny. A win in Miami, and they will be known simply as the team of the 80s. And I think this coaching staff, and certainly quarterback Joe Montana, they want that very, very much. This was a Sunday in Chicago that will be remembered for its horrible weather conditions, but in the end, it was the veteran quarterback, many of whom said he was washed up earlier this season. But Joe Montana came here in the NFC Championship and threw 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to Jerry Rice. I'm Brent Musburger. We hope you've enjoyed the NFL on CBS.
The NFL Today post-game